Welcome to the Classical Music Podcast. I am Rachmaninov and I'm here today with Lev, Elvin and Emre. And today we are going to hang out and have a glass of wine and talk about what we think about when we practice and when we perform, and is there a difference? So, let's get straight into it.
Well, I think there is an obvious difference on the stage and in your practice room. I mean, of course, for me, personally, I always keep my intensity as high as possible during my practice sessions because I really enjoy the feeling when I'm on the stage much more, as I think everyone would agree. So I usually try to imagine that I'm already on the stage, but of course when you start a new piece and you're just reading, you try to just be as calm as possible, at least for myself, and as concentrated as possible. So yeah, of course, I think it's much more emotional on the stage.
Absolutely.
And yeah, you have the very different energy there, I guess. So that's, for me, the main difference. The energy, the chemistry with the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's the basic difference for me.
But what is the difference in your thought process?
In my thought process, when I'm on the stage, of course, usually I'm prepared for the stage, so I'm not thinking about the next note, and I'm not thinking about the what technically I'm going to do right now.
So, are you thinking about dinner after the concert?
Yeah, well, sometimes I think about the dinner as well, attending the dinner. No, but what I'm doing on the stage is just usually I think I kind of, in a way, black out. So I'm totally inside of the music, I guess. I mean, it sounds very pretentious, but it's actually what's happening when I'm on the stage.
Actually, do you ever have that feeling when you come off stage and you have no idea what just happened? You're just like, was that good? I don't know. I don't remember anything. Did you ever have that?
Well,
Anyone?
sometimes when it goes not that well, I have the feeling that's like, what did I do and like what were I thinking on the stage? But when it goes quite well, I usually like feel very in it, you know, like music-wise and violin-wise, I know what I'm doing. It's just different feeling that I'm blacking out in a different way, that I don't really know if I'm on the stage or where I am. I just like completely black out from that feeling. So I don't think of like if I'm on the stage or if I'm somewhere else, but the chemistry and energy given by the audience, and maybe if there is an orchestra and conductor, is just taking me to some other place.
Must be also, though, I think, very important for everyone to find a balance between the listening, what the reaction of the public is, well, not listening, but like looking at this and so on, but also try not to lose yourself too much, because then, like, to keep yourself under control. This is what I'm always trying to do. This is what I'm trying to achieve when I'm on the stage or something, to find the balance before this excitement. Actually, it's always a very privileged thing to be, because everyone is listening to you and there's some kind of, a lot of people just there for you, and though not to lose yourself, so not only to do your best, but to keep yourself calm, to reach everything what you could actually do, and so on. I think this is, for me at least, very important. Yes, preparation is very important, obviously, as well, but I think to lose yourself, it's also sometimes possible when you have this blackout or something, when you're going out of the stage. I hated, and that meant that I was too much into the music or something, and I actually, I don't say that I missed some notes or so, but I didn't kind of really go through all these feelings and so on, you know. Also the connection, also my calmness and so on, you know. I was just, wow, so much happening, so cool. Oh, these people there, you know, listening to me, and I'm, oh, this note, this phrase, and so on, you know. And then at the end you go out, so, whoa, you know. And after some time, it's actually more pleasant for me when I go out after the session. Okay, so I did that in my brain as well. I had a lot of fun with actually a very nice conversation with the public, let's call it like this. And though as well I remember myself, I remember also trying to remember my mistakes, what I did, for example, wrong, or what I would love to do differently, and then obviously to use them in my future practice and so on, because then it's more reasonable. Because my father says always that best rehearsal is a concert. So
That's right.
this is,
Yeah.
I think, very much the truth.
Definitely.
I mean, of course, I think being aware obviously helps you with a lot for the
Mhm.
future. So no, I completely agree on that. I mean, the blackouts, which I mean, is not being aware of what you're doing, but with being aware of what you're doing, letting yourself go, even your nerves. You might be also nervous on the stage, of
Mhm.
course, and I think sometimes it's healthy also
Yeah.
because it takes you to another level. Of course, I think sometimes there is this slight difference between being nervous and not being able to control yourself, and being nervous, but which gives you a new
The-
breath on the stage, you know.
The
And
encouragement to do it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think being aware, but also being able to let yourself go a little bit and be just in a different moment,
Mhm.
which will be half an hour, 40 minutes, or 1 hour,
Yeah,
depending, of course, on your program. But just being somewhere completely else, at least for me, gives a different feeling and takes me on another level,
Mhm.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
on the stage. Yeah.
For me, the main difference between practicing and playing on stage is that you judge yourself differently. Actually, I think you shouldn't be judging yourself while playing on stage, because I actually listen to the audience, not to myself, because what you're doing on stage is a sort of communication, and you want to see and hear how they're reacting to it. And during practice, you judge yourself. You have to judge yourself, and it's. I always imagine playing on the stage already when I'm practicing. But once I'm on stage, you know, even if you're perfectly prepared for the concert, things can go wrong, and at that point there won't be anything you can do about it. So thinking about that will destroy the performance. I mean, if you don't think about it, it could still go very wrong. But if you think about it, it's more likely that it will go wrong. So I try to communicate, and I try to listen to the audience in the most touching, silent moments in particular.
And this is the best feeling when you finish the play and then there's like nothing, right?
Yeah,
This
then-
is always
then-
the best feeling.
Then I know it was good.
Yeah, then you know actually
But,
that everyone is still listening when you stopped. You know, this is
Yeah.
actually amazing.
But also, what I'm playing defines how I'm playing and how I'm feeling while I'm on the stage. And to give a very specific example, when I play Rachmaninov, I usually don't know how I've played, because you just throw yourself into it, and that's the way to do it. And you train to do it. Actually, you practice that too, and then you play. And then after the concert, I'm asking people, tell me how it was, because I don't know.
Mhm.
But when I'm playing Schubert, I'm on a completely different level of consciousness, and I know exactly how it was. So if it was bad, I'm aware of it. If it was very good, I'm aware of it. So it depends on the kind of music you're playing.
For me, it doesn't actually have anything to do with the composer. It's just the whole thing itself. It's like you said, it's like a relationship on stage, you know. And I remember very specifically some of my most favorite performances is when I've had this feeling when I'm on stage, and I'm so like, I'm zoomed in on what I'm doing here, but I'm also at the back of the room, and I can hear what is coming. I don't know how, but it's happened not every concert, but it has happened a few times. And it's this moment where you feel almost outside of your body. You're really understanding or listening to what is happening in the room and responding. Yeah.
You need that. I mean, we need that as musicians, because we're actually the only ones who don't get to enjoy the performance. And I'm sorry, I want to enjoy my performance too. I want to listen to that music, because that's the reason I'm playing it. I'm not playing it to like of course, to a certain degree, I'm playing to show off, but like I also want to enjoy the music, and I'm playing it in the way I would like to hear it. So I won't take that away from myself.
Yeah, exactly. But then the question that I asked myself when I did have this kind of experiences was, how do I practice that? How do I make sure that this happens not only every time I'm on stage, but when I'm practicing? And this is where, like, somebody even asked me that, I can't remember, somebody asked me, but how do you do that? How do you get into that state of mind? And it's really tricky. I mean, because we're so temperamental, especially, you know, every time you go
have
to
to
the
play for
instrument.
people
Yeah.
before concerts.
I mean, I think. Oh, did you want to say something? I think, of course, you cannot expect to get the same feeling when you're practicing alone.
But why not? Because
Well,
athletes can train to do the exact same thing over and over again.
Because
Why can we not?
I think you just said also that when you're on the stage, you're zoomed here, but still you get something coming from there. And without audience, I think most of the times it's kind of not possible.
Yeah, but don't you think that's more about being more subjective with yourself rather than just thinking, like, because a lot of the time, especially when you record yourself, you think you're doing something, but you record it and you're like, I don't hear that at all. It sounds completely different to what I imagine. So I think it's about, when you're practicing, you have to take yourself out of the picture, your ego, and you have to think of the bigger picture and try to imagine what you're doing when you're practicing, how it's going to be interpreted already by the audience.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I usually try to do when I'm practicing.
Yeah, but it's just hard to do that all the time.
Of course, I mean, sometimes you just feel that energy is there, like you have it inside of yourself, and you just play like you're on the concert for yourself. And actually sometimes I'm like saying that, oh, that's such a not nice performance, or opposite, I'm like, wow, that went really good, and I feel like happy for the rest of the day, the way I would feel after the concert. I get this adrenaline pump from practice session, when it actually, or I'm productive in my practice, or I felt like I was in a concert and it went really well. But I think what Emre said right now also makes sense, that he wants to enjoy it himself, but he also does it to show off. And without people, you cannot show off for yourself, in my opinion.
I can.
Well, I'm really happy for you.
Come on, don't you have those moments while practicing, like, damn, I wish this was the concert?
No, exactly.
Yes,
Exactly, but you still wish that it was concert, that someone heard it, you know?
Yeah.
You just,
But
even if
still-
you're impressed with yourself, you just want that someone else heard it. That's why sometimes when I feel like I'm on a good day, I'm trying to record myself so that I can post it on Instagram, so at least my practice session at least goes somewhere, you know? The
But
good
then-
part,
then it's like
the only
Schrodinger's
good
cat.
part. Out of 99 tries, one goes well. And then it's on Instagram.
Yeah. When you're not recording, you play better.
Yeah,
It's
of
like
course.
Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
But what does it mean to have a productive practice to you? What is, well, to anyone, like, what does it mean? Like, if after, let's say you've done 3 hours of practice, what to you makes those 3 hours productive, if they are?
I think you have to divide practice very well on different levels and so on. So basically, on the beginning, like, you have to learn the piece, kind of, okay, obviously listen to many recordings and so on, learn how it actually, and try to get as well. I think very important, try to not to get too influenced by recordings you're listening to, because otherwise you kind of skip that point of your imagination of this music and so on. So what I'm trying is that on the beginning, on the very beginning, I would listen with the scores and so on, try to get the points, okay, that works like this, blah. And then on some point, leave the recordings and try to read as much as I can without listening. Maybe it would be on the beginning somehow wrong and so on, then compare this with just like, then to work on this, you know, but try to get what you actually would yourself think about this without any background. Maybe obviously background of knowing of what, or who was the composer and when he wrote it, and maybe some live backgrounds or something. That would be probably important. But a part of this, the would be just trying to, on the basic level, try to understand this piece and so on. And then that's what I do, and I will try to figure out, okay, this is harder, this is harder than the rest, you know, and really concentrate on this thing, so that would be no day without I would play many times this place, because I know this is harder, I know this is going to be stressful and so on. It can be faster or just more like delicate plays or something, and then in the end you try to combine this everything, so your understanding of this music and then these hard places with all the rest, and then you try to build up very nice, hopefully very nice thing, hopefully very nice thing, which would actually then kind of be from very different sides good, which would be, that would show your interpretation of the piece. That would be also, you would be also very calm with every part of these things, because obviously we know like some things are less important to practice, I would say, than the rest, than the others, you know, like you don't have to play really through every time, you know, and just go all over the piece on the beginning, I mean, on this like beginning phase and so on. And then you come up to this balance where it's kind of on the same level, everything, and yeah, that's what I would say that and achieved, like, and then I'm trying to build up this in the shortest amount of time, and then play. Then play as much as you can, basically. Hopefully, in our case, though we have here a pianist, I think you have a little bit less troubles with that. But play with accompaniment, if it's like chamber music or sonata or something, you know. Maybe with some recordings, whatever. Now there are apps or videos with recordings for you to play with.
Yeah.
And so on.
For me, the productive practice session means a lot of different things, you know. It all depends, like for example what you said, completely agree. I cannot like say anything against, because it just completely agrees, I mean, but also yeah, you got my
What do I get?
no, I mean, for me, I just like, I can say the productive day for me, if I accomplished what I wanted to get from that practice session. And it can be only technical aspects, because for me, if I want to build a musically well thought thing, first of all, I have to be able to be at my 100% technically, to at that piece only, not in general, at that piece, to be able then to build
150, because you'll lose.
You will lose
Yeah,
on
you
the
will
stage,
lose,
on the stage. But I mean, for the next practice session,
Yeah.
before I need to be able to play this piece technically, and I have to know the difficulties. So sometimes when I start the piece, as you said, I go part and part, but sometimes if it's very fresh piece, I prefer to go slowly through the entire thing,
on the very beginning,
to know
sure.
where I will have difficulties, what could be like challenging more. So as you said, to maybe practice more those parts which I feel like I need to practice more, and then to come back to other parts or do a general thing. And sometimes, like recently, like 2 weeks ago or something, I actually I gave a little break to myself, and then when I came back, I didn't feel my hands, especially left hand, which I always feel comfortable with. I didn't feel it. Like I actually felt so uncomfortable. I am genius in left hand. No, I mean, I have to say my strong side is left side for the.
So normally
like,
you feel very comfortable
yeah.
on the left hand.
Like I have to work much more on right hand to feel comfortable.
I feel pretty comfortable on my right leg or something, playing cello.
What should I say? The pianist starts. Well, I always
Maybe your ribs.
I always try to make it a combination of different stuff that I want to achieve that day, because I believe that's healthy and necessary, because let's say I'm working on a 2-hour long program or a recital program and a concerto. I don't practice everything every day in the same way. I practice everything, but I do like a rotation of the pieces. Every second day I'll practice the concerto more, and I'll actually work on the details more. I'll like do some practicing methods for certain parts and stuff, and I'll keep the other one fresh, and then the other day I'll do the other one.
Yeah.
So and I try to like play something that I can't play yet every day. So I sight read something, or I just read through something I need to play in 5 months, but there should be some part of that day's practice that is just that, and then keeping fresh, and then actually working intensively on one thing. That's my method of practice.
I think that's important not to get stuck. Also, like if you have a concert or something and you have to play like this particular program, and so on, I think like okay, that's maybe for me, maybe someone would have a different opinion to this. But for me, it's very important. Also, maybe play something that you love to play in between or something, just for yourself. Just enjoy playing, just not to get into this routine. Oh, I have to learn this and learn and prepare and so on, and just spend more time. I think it's also very important. Again, at least for me, that some point maybe if you have enough time to learn something, if you know, okay, there is an advance and so on, you don't have to like to really worry about anything. It's very important also just to spend time with your instrument doing, I don't know, whatever. It can be scales, it can be etudes, it can be piece that you played when you were 6 or something. I think
Do that every day.
yeah, exactly. So I think this is really nice, and in general, even if like during now our big happening in the world, guess what it is? Maybe coronavirus. I think though. We all got a bit more possibility to spend more time with yourself and so on also, and I think that was very nice that you didn't have that there were parts which were very nice, that you wouldn't have only think about the concerts. And I have to say in the beginning that like I think we, as much as I heard from other musicians, my friends and so on, that in the beginning everyone everyone went through their phases where on the beginning they were practicing like crazy. They were like, I will just go for it, you know. I will just really go for it, you know. After Corona, I'm gonna be like really the best, you know, like really the practice. And then obviously, if you do so much, at some point, although we love music, we love our instruments, although you get so bored, you really cannot, you cannot do this anymore. So I think not to exaggerate. And then how I tried to deal with this and how it would work kind of for me, that was okay. Start of any kind of concerts again, that was a big part of it as well, but also that I just was playing whatever I really wanted in no matter of anything basically. And that was such a great experience as well, because we kind of got out of this rush, you know, like you have to learn this, go there, rehearsal, but then so on, and then at some point you calm down finally somehow.
I mean, during quarantine I actually found again calmness in my practice, to be honest, because at some point I just felt a little bit anxious while practicing, which was really not helping with being productive at all. I don't know, it was always not that I had 120 concerts like I don't know, Wenger for example, obviously not, but still as you're young you always try to make more, and you try to make bigger repertoire, to develop yourself, to learn more in different ways, to practice with as many great artists as possible, to be in that masterclass and also in that masterclass, but also to be in that competition and that competition, and also to make as many concerts as possible, plus charm music and everything, you know, like you just want to be in as many places as you can because you're young and you want to prove people that you can do everything.
What do we do then, Emre?
Well, you guys are old.
No, it was a joke.
No, but then during quarantine I realized that it's a great, I think it's maybe one time in your entire life opportunity to actually live for yourself, even though actually we couldn't live that openly and normally as we are living. But despite being in one city and in my own flat for a long time, actually for the first 2-3 months, I was really only in my flat, not doing anything.
I've never been in my flat for so long.
I actually always felt scared to be alone because I needed to socialize, and that made me realize that I'm actually okay with being alone, and that's really important in musicians' life, because we need to be able to be alone, to be able to practice.
I cannot say that it was like, I cannot say that I didn't go out much, even like I was trying to stay as much as I can at home and so on. But anyway, I really found a huge point of being alone at home, that it's actually something unbelievably nice.
Exactly.
Because you have your space in your head and you can concentrate on what you want, and not think about anyone else. Sorry, completely interrupted.
No.
I learned to tune my piano.
Yeah,
because that was I had a really bad piano at home, and that was all I had, and I wanted to make it better, and it was an opportunity to learn.
I think you did something really important for yourself.
Yeah, now I have the tools and.
Can you do that?
Can you tune your
I
instrument?
cannot.
Violin?
Can you change your own bow hairs?
I call my dad each time.
You go to the luthier.
Actually, there is okay, it's completely out of topic, but there is one funny story with me. I was 8 years old and I went to a competition in Moscow. It was my first competition. I really couldn't tune my violin, and my dad was there with me, but he's a cellist. So I went on the stage, and I just
put everything one octave lower.
No, I went on the stage, and then there's jury, actually full hall. I was impressed for 8 years old and small category, like little kids category competition. There's like full hall, but Moscow, they're always interested in music, and people are really going to concerts and competitions. So it was really full hall. And then I went on the stage and my all strings are out of tune. And then I just tried, but I obviously couldn't.
That's what happens when cello is trying to tune
Yeah.
the instrument.
And then my dad went to the stage and he took the violin in a cello position. He took chair of the pianist, he asked her to actually move for a second, and he started tuning my violin.
I noticed that.
I won the first time. Yeah.
Maybe because they found it very.
Yeah, I mean that was really a funny story for me.
I played the Ninth of Beethoven. The last movement is complete. Everything is D major, and cello is going like D, D, E sharp, A, D. Everything about that. And then I think I got a little bit too excited, and my D string just kind of really fell down. It was like no tension or anything, and it was such a shame because whatever.
Sorry, it fell down. It's just really nice way to say it.
Yeah,
Not a G string.
Yeah.
This string committed suicide. Jumped from the floor.
It wasn't falling tight enough.
So there was no tension in the string at all, and I was just I had to pretend that I was playing because what you do, and I was the first cello, so and there was the end of the piece, so 2-3 minutes left or something, and then you just okay, your thing is there actually like this,
Yeah. Well, I broke my string during Schubert Death in the Maiden competition.
And
And
what
then I
have you
had-
done?
Well, I just kept playing on the A string. But the thing was that the impact of the E string breaking made all the other strings out of tune.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of fine up to one point. I was just making up harmonies most of the way through. And this was already over halfway through the one movement that we had to play. So they would never let us start again after retuning and new string and everything. So I was just I don't have a choice. Just keep going.
Do you think they wouldn't let you in the competition because?
Well, this was finals of the competition.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, it didn't happen to you, but you think that you're definitely sure
that was
that they
just
wouldn't let you.
it was the decision that I decided to make in the moment. I mean, come on, you cannot really, you don't have time to think,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, there's this one moment where I had solo and I was just playing the A string because there was literally no way that I could play anything similar. And I was just A.
She was on empty bridge.
And it was not only just A, but flat A.
Yeah.
I remember we were all so destroyed after. I felt so bad. I was like, what could I have done? But in the end, we also won. So.
But you can also damage the violin by playing with the broken string, just for your info.
In case you didn't
Fun
know
fact.
that.
I mean, I was 15, so.
No,
Did something happen? Did something happen to you? Because I can imagine if the instrument on the string instrument, it is the sound when the string is breaking. But recently I saw some video which was hilarious where the pianist was playing some piece, and there was something for two pianists, two Asian girls were playing, and at some point the lowest string on piano broke, and that sound
I know the sound that
was so strong. The funniest thing, we will answer that right after.
Yeah.
The funniest thing, the next person started during the concert to try to take out.
That's even more terrifying.
I think I've seen
While they were playing, someone came.
I've seen the video. I think the person was turning the page.
Maybe
the page turner. He just started pulling the string. I saw that.
Took responsibility.
Yeah.
But
Genius.
nothing like that has ever happened to me. But once the piano in a chamber music competition, actually, the piano in the final round was somehow the tuner did something wrong with the sostenuto pedal, and the notes just kept going on.
Whoa!
And I had to stop them with hands.
Oh, you're serious?
Yeah.
No. What
That's
were
how
you
we
playing?
played, and we won too. Maybe there's a pattern.
Lev, did you win also something like this? Because you're the only one left.
I forgot the text. I forgot on the competition. Really, I had a little bit of blackout. I was very young. I was 16 or something, 15 maybe. And I played the low concerto, and I had a little bit of blackout. I still have a trouble in my brain. I cannot solve it, and I think it's not going to be solvable forever and ever, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure there was not my mistake, and I didn't forget the scores.
Lalo wrote it wrong.
No. I really think, because we really didn't have much time to play. That was with a piano player, really competition for young people. So, and I'm still very considered. Actually, she played something wrong. It's not me trying to find explanation for myself and so on. Maybe it could be very well that I actually forgot it. And so.
But pianists are
You know
always
this is
guilty.
going to happen. Pianists remember.
No, I would not do this as well, But I'm actually thinking that there was something that we kind of misunderstood each other or something, and then it was for the first time that something like this happened to me ever before. I never forgot before anything on the stage, And I was like, that was not the last time though.
Getting older.
And then I was I was thinking, I got into this. This is actually about our topic back again. What you think about when you're on the stage, and I started to think, whose mistake was it, or what was the mistake, or what happened, and then you're done. If you start with the thing, basically you can give up. Kind of, it's better to go home.
But you won.
Yeah, but still, I have to say it's influenced a lot actually, because after this I was much more scared of forgetting anything, because maybe that's why I have this kind of.
That's dangerous too,
Yeah, sometimes have
thinking that you
Thinking that
might
you-
have a blackout while playing.
It
It
usually
actually
brings-
makes
Yeah,
it have a
yeah,
blackout.
Exactly.
It makes you I don't know. I think every musician can relate to this. That you would be thinking, what kind of what is next finger in the neck, and then you're like,
Worst thing to think
what's
about.
next?
Well,
note or
imagine
something,
pianists, they have to think which
that's
is
a
next
bit
fingers,
crazy.
next one. I mean, they play
completely crazy.
Sometimes I improvise with the fingering.
Well, I mean, pianists also cheat. They throw at least 1-2 notes every bar. I mean.
But actually, now that you mention it, this is actually something I do in my practice. I always practice different fingerings and different bowings, so that in case anything happens, I am flexible.
No, I don't practice it, but only if the concert is going really well. If I'm feeling oh my god, I'm playing really well, then I take extra risks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I start changing stuff. I start doing stuff that I have never done
I
before.
also have it sometimes.
So
You don't
I
practice then?
no.
Really?
No.
I do, because I don't like ever to be this is exactly what I've practiced, this is what I'm going to bring on stage. I always like to
I
have
do
that
that,
flexibility.
but yeah, and then if you're feeling that good about yourself, you can do it, and it works.
No. I mean that for me it goes exactly back to this idea that a performance is a conversation. You if you train yourself to be able to take those risks, to do something different in the concert, because you're responding to what the audience is doing. For example, you played Ganiev, and everyone has played this 1,000 times, or Chadas, whatever. Especially these gypsy pieces. I mean, how many times have you done these gypsy pieces, and then you're just I'm gonna stay much longer on this note and just like do some crazy thing, and the pianist just has to follow, or the orchestra, you know, just because you feel like it.
Like Fedor Rudin,
You know,
down
this
bow
is-
staccato.
I do that on purpose with the orchestras. That's one of my secrets.
So they can
Because if I feel like the
when you have a conductor who wants to be fired. Like when
No,
is
I
he
don't
gonna
do
do that
that.
mistake?
I just stab him later.
Okay.
If I feel like the orchestra needs a slap in the face because they're not totally there, then I do something that's totally out of place and unexpected,
Wake
so
them up.
that they think, oh, he's doing spontaneous stuff, so we should be more aware of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So I do that to manipulate the orchestra.
And it's like, see if you're gonna catch
Yeah,
me.
you need to wake up.
Yeah. But that's cool. But those, I mean, they're the best moments. I mean, I just did this tour now, and it was like there was so much spontaneity and fun on stage, and I really missed that because, you know, when you come into this thing, it's like on the stage, the thing, when you come on stage and there's this atmosphere, like, you know, especially classical music. I mean, it's very traditional and kind of old-fashioned. At least that's how it's seen, and in a lot of places it's still taught in this way. But then when you see musicians just going on stage, having a laugh, enjoying it, not worrying.
Yeah,
about the
laughing
little
is something we're missing in the concerts.
I was like blown away. I just was. It was so refreshing to see that kind of like, oh, we don't have to take it so seriously. The seriousness comes in the practice room. You know, that's where the seriousness needs to be there, so that you know that the standard is gonna be you worked for it. But when it comes to stage, why not have a party? You know, just enjoy
Exactly.
it.
But that's the thing, like when
That's
you practice.
why everyone's there.
The
have a
thing
good
is that
time.
I think when you're really prepared for the stage and you are enjoying yourself on the stage, then there's
Then you
always a
have-
part for laughing.
Yeah, you can do whatever you
Relaxation.
want. I have to say,
Yeah.
for me, it was like on the beginning, I can compare it with talking on the stage as well, because it's on the beginning. It's so terrifying on the beginning. It's so actually hard and so on. And I think, but then if you do it more and more, it's okay. This also like with experience of actually playing on the stage. It's, I think, not very much the same, but similar thing. But it is so that I was so terrified. But then later, when you got a bit calmer and so on, you understand what to do, what not to do, and then that part is actually beautiful if you get a chance sometimes to even introduce what you're gonna play or something, you know, and then you can make a little joke and try to make people, and that's always, you have to make one person laugh. Then everyone, if you see or hear in the stage having like, you know, and everyone starts laughing, you know, you got it, you know, now I'm done.
Yeah.
And I think this is also precious. And then after that, when you play, you already kind of warm down the whole situation for you, because you try, okay guys, look, I'm here, try to make a joke, let's relax everyone, because also for people who are going to the concerts, I think everyone take it as well a little bit too serious in many points. And I think it's okay, that's not maybe so bad in Germany, because you see all these nice ladies and gentlemen in the lobby with nice glasses of wine and so on. in the
Not
break.
anymore though.
Yes, now it's a bit
Unfortunately.
different, unfortunately. Yeah. But at some point, you have to also calm them down, because I think I heard a very nice phrase recently, actually, from a friend of mine. He told, in the middle of the conversation with someone, he told, the public needs to look at you as a musician and be calm. So you go on the stage and they are also very calm, because if they're gonna be stressed about you even, you know, and so on, then everything goes wrong. The whole atmosphere, the whole I'm trying to pronounce it right, is just gonna be kind of destroyed already. But that little thing that actually everyone is a bit intense, you know, and if you have a chance to dissolve it somehow from the beginning, and then you actually get the benefit of everyone being a bit more relaxed and chill there.
Yeah,
You know?
I have a story to tell about that. Once I was playing the Emperor Concerto with an orchestra in Turkey, and then there was a threat, a terrorist attack. I mean, it didn't happen, but they got the warning that there might be an attack
In the concert.
in the concert. So the conductor was Italian. He didn't understand what was going on. Everyone else was freaking out.
Did you play with Pirelli?
You never speak in
No,
Italian.
he knows. No, this was like real Italian.
Really? Antonio, you see that you're the really talented one.
And then the word got out, and half of the audience didn't even show up because they were scared. But half of them did. And then there were even more people hoping to get in, and they could because the seats, half of the seats was empty. And it was very tense. And I started playing, and for the first 10 minutes I just looked around and I thought, if someone in the hall now just stands up and starts shooting, where do I hide? Because I was wearing a like bright shirt, and
So the blood would be able.
and I'm in the middle, and I'm such a perfect target there. And and then I made a plan, and I knew where I was going to hide. And then after like 10 or 15 minutes, I thought, well, if I was an ISIS terrorist, I would have done something
Already,
by
yeah,
now.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you're an ISIS
Maybe he
terrorist,
first
you
wants to hear it.
yeah,
Like, at least let me enjoy the concert until then.
He came in, he was like, oh,
Not before
Brahms!
the concert.
I love Brahms.
Let me hear a little bit.
I will listen. After the first part, the concert, I start my journey.
No, he was playing Beethoven, but still.
yeah, and
Okay,
then,
Yeah.
and then everybody started relaxing, and we started having a good time. And at the end of the concerto, I wanted to say a few words, which wasn't something I did back then. But I felt like people needed to hear something, and then I thanked them for showing up anyways, and it made them feel so good. They started laughing, and they felt so connected to the experience. I'm sure they'll never forget it, as
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
never forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't like, I mean, one of the most amazing things when you see a performer, whether it's classical or not, is to be able to relate to them, right? You know, and if you don't have that kind of connection, if you kind of put yourself on this pedestal, I mean, isn't art you're meant to try and understand art, you're meant to want to, you know, correlate it with things.
Yeah.
Is that the right word? I don't know. But coincide with the things that you've grown up with or understand, you know, and if you don't, then you're just sitting there like, I feel so detached from this that how can I really enjoy it? But if you get given some, you know, it doesn't need to be much.
Yeah.
Just
And
one
you need
little, like,
to-
give the hand, like, I'm here.
You need to give people a reason to come to the concerts, to listen to a piece that they could easily listen to at home, while having a glass of wine. Like, you have to give them a reason. There has to be something special about that live performance that is different from just listening to a piece.
Yeah, but I mean, this performance sounds like a very special one, which you could not forget. I
I
mean,
would also never forget.
I mean, like, okay, maybe it sounds too dramatic, but like it could be the last performance of you. You know, like it's actually
Make
something.
it count.
Huh?
Make it count.
Yeah, no, I mean, but like that you're actually playing with those emotions, that you're actually scared for your life, and the public is obviously also scared. I mean, I'm from Turkey. I know how bad it was for a long time, and obviously we were even scared when we were just traveling from one airport to another. Like when we're taking planes, we were scared even going through the security control or security check, how it's called. I don't know. I mean, like, because these things happened, and also it happened, of course, in Europe also. I'm not like saying that it didn't happen, but in Turkey it was happening a lot, and actually we were not really hearing it in international media always. So it actually happened much more than people actually think. Maybe it happened. So this is not really like, oh, it's just a possibility. This could actually really, really happen. So I can imagine what kind of special performance it was.
It's actually impressive that people actually stayed.
Yeah, exactly.
That I was very impressed by that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I thanked them, because I would have totally understood if they didn't show up. I still wanted to play. They still wanted to hear, and this was all we had in that moment,
Yeah, sure.
and we didn't give that away.
Wow, powerful. So we went a little bit off topic, but let's get back to the question. So what we think about when we go through practicing and concerts. And actually I want to take it a little bit into another direction, which is actually very relevant now in 2020, which is recordings. And Emre, you can tell us all about this, as you have
I can.
you have now a new CD release, which is
Yes.
extremely exciting. So tell us about
It is, thank you. So we recorded the Rachmaninov CD in December 2019, and it was supposed to come out in March, April. And then it couldn't, obviously. And that was the most difficult time for me, the beginning of the lockdowns, because suddenly all concerts are cancelled. You can't travel. I'm just at home. The CD can't come out because there's no point in bringing out a recording that you can't promote with concerts. And then that was a whole identity crisis for me, because we define ourselves with what we do. It's not just a job that we do. So I was completely lost, and all I could hang on to was knowing that the CD was going to come out sooner or later. So that was really the only connection I had left between life and myself. In the summer we had a talk with the label, and I decided to bring it out in October, because there was no point in waiting any longer. And I felt like I had to put out something. So now there are still not many concerts, and you actually shouldn't bring out a CD that you can't promote with the concerts, but I did. And this was actually the product of a tour that I did 2 years ago. It was a 1 year long Rachmaninov tour, and so these are pieces that I have been working on for years, and they have become a part of me, and now I can't even listen to my recordings objectively. I can listen to it, but not objectively, because I don't hear anything good or bad in them. It's just the way I hear those pieces, and I can't judge them. And now I'm really happy that people will be able to judge it.
But I feel really happy that I was one of the people who came to your
pre-screening.
Yeah,
Actually,
we were all there, and
Yeah.
actually I feel really happy and honored that you
Thank you.
asked from us.
It helped me a lot.
Just wanted to drop that. He took our opinion as well.
But what was the process like? What goes through your mind when you're recording something like this? Especially because it's so personal and a massive project for you, something that you are obviously very proud of. What goes through your mind when you're recording? Because it's completely different. You don't have that audience interaction. You don't have. It's not just a practice room either. It's a different world completely.
Yeah, I had stopped doing concerts 1 month before the recording sessions, so I could just concentrate on practicing that. And to be honest, it was heavy, the process, because these pieces I have history with these pieces, with this one and the preludes, and in that last month, trying to get into them once more, I went through everything once more that I had went through while I was practicing those, and it was like a fast forward experience, and it was heavy, and most of the time I was just at home crying, not because I was sad, but I was just overwhelmed by that much emotional experience just by myself. And then it was like a trance, the recording sessions, and after the last day, after I recorded the last prelude, I realized that I would gladly die at that moment, because then I felt like I had done something. I'm leaving something. If I die now, I'll have left something. And then I realized that this is something we all long for, because we musicians struggle to have families and children, and normally people have families and they have children, so they feel like they have left something for the world. And when you don't have that, doing this is very precious.
So then the CD for you is really like your child.
It is, and I'm really glad that it finally came out.
Well, this is, yeah, I mean,
it was a painful process, but it's a very beautiful child.
There is no beauty without the pain. So.
no, but that's really amazing, and everyone should go and check it out. It will be on Spotify, I believe, and all platforms, so go and check that out, because it will be definitely worth the listen. So on that note, I think that should be the conclusion of this week's episode, of the first episode of the Classical Music Podcast. And if you enjoyed this, if it was entertaining as much as it was for us, then like and subscribe and share, and see you next week. And cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Go to your city.